Hello everyone! Today in this video I am going to be walking through how I make a dress, and this is I guess more of a autumn appropriate dress since it has long sleeves. I'm using this pattern. Let me just get this flat folded back. Let's see, so this is a McCall's pattern. It's M8083. I'm going to make this view with the sleeves. I don't know if you can see it better. It's a little bit easier to see on the back of the envelope with the line drawings here. Yeah, so this is the pattern that I picked out. I got this during one of the McCall's pattern sales. So my plan for this dress is to use this really fun, here I'm pulling it out right now, floral fabric that I got from Mercy Tilton. I don't know if you are familiar with that online fabric store. It is actually one of my absolute favorite fabric stores that I like to look at. They tend to have a lot of really cool dead stock fabrics, which I really like. That is actually a silk print from the brand Johnny Was. I think that's how you say it. I've actually never bought anything from that brand, but I really love this, I really love the floral on this. It's very, it feels very nice, very high quality, and I'm really happy that I picked it up. It is a pretty narrow fabric, and obviously because it's silk it was a little bit more expensive, but I treated myself to it for my birthday, which I think was like a good way for me to justify how much it cost. But yeah, I really love looking on Mercy Tilton's website for some more unique and different dead stock fabrics that she sometimes stocks. There's a lot of designer dead stock that you can find there, and some other things that aren't necessarily dead stock. I really love getting a dead stock fabric because I feel like it's a bit more sustainable than getting a brand new type of fabric. And maybe that view of things is I don't know, maybe a little bit naive. I'm sure that it's probably not as perfectly sustainable as you would hope, but I do think it's definitely a better approach than just trying to buy brand new fabrics all the time. At least that's personally how I view it. So yeah, I love Mercy Tilton for the, I don't know, very unique, weird fabrics that you can find, and I love that. I also really love the quality of garments that you can make with a silk. I kind of I guess sort of had my first experience with silk whenever I was making my wedding dress, and I decided I want to continue that with some future garments, maybe not such formal garments, because the drape is really beautiful and it's just a nice material to work with generally. The only problem I have had personally with silk was with a dress that I made over the summer, and it had a relatively long, a midi length skirt that was, it wasn't super full, it was sort of just slightly gathered, but the issue I was having with it was that silk does tend to hold a static charge in it, so it can be a little bit more staticky than other fabrics. I think every single fabric obviously has pros and cons, but that's one of the things that I don't like. And so to remedy that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to line the skirt. Now, this pattern does not suggest any lining whatsoever. Usually I find that a lot of patterns, even though the skirt isn't lined, they might suggest you have 2 layers on the bodice. This one actually doesn't even suggest that either. So there is that, but I don't know if it's because of the design of it. It's a raglan. Yeah, I don't know. But I think if I was using a different material, I would be totally cool with that. which if it was like, I don't know, like an opaque cotton or something that won't be super staticky, I think that's a good move. But I am going to line this, and I'm going to use just a black tencel. So this is just, you know, your run-of-the-mill tencel twill that I got from a local fabric store, and hopefully the amount that I got was enough, because I just picked up a remnant from a local fabric shop, and I was like, that should probably be good. You know, it's always nice to save a little bit of money. So my plan for this dress is to line the skirt as well as the bodice. Now we'll see how much fabric I have for the skirt with the different lining fabric. I may end up using my silk to line the bodice, just depending on how things work out. So I guess I'll just update as I go along for that. So yeah, I'm planning on only lining the bodice and the skirt. The sleeves I will not line. So that's like the only thing. I don't know if there will be any weirdness because of the raglan sleeves. I don't think it should be a problem, but it is something to look out for. I guess it is like a little bit of a hack to take a dress or take a pattern that doesn't have a lining and add a lining, so I don't know if that's interesting for anybody else. I definitely do really love the finish that a lining provides for pretty much any garment. It's really, I think, a very high quality finish, and it's actually pretty easy to pull off in a like very clean manner, because you don't have I don't know, you don't have to enclose every single seam with like some kind of other finishing method, like a French seam or with a serged edge, which I like to do sometimes. So far what I have done on my pattern is I have used the Palmer Pletch method to do a tissue fitting. I don't know if anybody is familiar with that, but it basically just comes from this book, and it's just a way of sort of assessing the fit of a garment that you're planning on making from the tissue pattern. And what you're actually supposed to do is cut out the tissue itself. But I don't love that idea all the time. I don't love cutting my tissue itself. I usually trace it off, because if it's like the only copy of that pattern that I have, I don't know, I get worried about it. If I have like a digital copy, I am fine with printing out another copy, but if it's like the only hard copy version of the pattern I have, I will always trace it. So I did trace my pattern, and I traced it onto some, I guess it's technically a sketch paper that I have, so it's not quite as flexible as the tissue paper that you use for a normal pattern, but I'm hoping that that won't make a huge difference. I already fitted it. I think it looks okay. This dress, I don't think it needs to be super tight fitted to my body or anything. It's, you know, it's a little bit more, I guess, like slightly casual of a fit. It's not, it doesn't have to be, you know, every little bit it doesn't have to be quite as intense as some other garments. Like, it's not going to be on the same level as like a wedding dress or any formal garment that you might make. So yes, that's pretty much where I am now. I'm excited to cut this out. I actually ironed this fabric like way earlier in the week. It's the weekend right now, but I didn't want to cut it out until I recorded a video, which I couldn't do until the weekend. So yeah. Alright, well, I think I might update whenever I am cutting out the lining pieces to see what fits. I do have extra of my silk, so I should definitely have plenty of that if I do end up needing to line part of the dress with the silk. The only part of the dress that I'm worried about the static being a problem is with the skirt, and since this tencel is a little bit heavier and it's just like a little bit more weighty than the silk, I think it should weigh it down nicely. It should have a nice drape to it and all that. I think lining is a great way to take the like print or whatever you like from one fabric and combine it with another property you like from another fabric, like its weightiness, its drape, that type of thing. Anyway, I will update you later. Bye. So all the pieces that I wanted to cut out with the lining fabric seem to fit, so that's absolutely perfect. And the only other thing that I could cut out of this is the pockets, and I think I will have enough room right there and right there for them. The only like weird thing I had to do is that the skirt pieces are like this way and the bodice pieces are this way, if that makes sense. So that bodice piece will be rotated 180 and then put like there essentially, if that makes sense. But since it's the lining, I don't think it's a big deal. So yeah, I'm really happy that that all fit. So I'll be cutting out those pieces and then also the sleeve pattern piece, and then there is a facing for the skirt as well. And even though I am using a lining, I think I'm going to still use the facing and then just cut off a portion of the lining of the skirt and attach it to the facing, sort of like you do with a coat. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but yeah, that's how I think I'm going to do that. I think it'll be a very clean finish and it'll look really nice. Cool. Alright, so hopefully you can tell now I have the sleeves attached to the main fabric. And right here, you can see I finished off the edge of the top of the sleeve, but I do not have the edge right here finished. And that's also the case for the back. So what I'm going to do is lay the lining on top of this just to finish these few neckline places, and then I should be able to flip this back inside, do some understitching just so the lining doesn't, you know, peek out or anything, and then I should be able to I think I should be able to fairly easily enclose this sleeve seam. But whenever I get to that point, I will update you just so you can see like how all that works out. Okay, so I have the lining sewn on around the neckline. I don't know if you can tell, it's around the back as well. And I have it this inside out just so you can kind of see where the current situation is at. I'm gonna actually remove this and show you what I'm gonna do next. Alright, so here's the bodice a little bit closer, off with the neckline finished up. And as you can see, I don't know if you can tell actually, I have understitched the part around the neckline. I tried to get as close as possible around this little angle right here. And next I want to be able to finish off or like enclose these edges. So what I'm going to do is just show you my approach for how I'm going to do this. Just grabbing some pins real quick so that I can keep everything in place. Okay, so this is the lining, and then I have my actual sleeve. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lining and flip it up like this, so we're like inside of the shirt, or like the inside of the bodice essentially. And then I'm just gonna like get that neckline, or that, not the neckline, but the arm seam lined up. Sorry, I had to look at it a little closer. So this is, I think, this is like towards the back. I'm just going to pin this into place. And I think when I'm stitching, I'm going to stay on this side because I already have a stitch that I can follow. This end is a little weird because it's kind of tight, but I'm hoping it'll work out okay despite that. I'm just going to try to get that done all the way around, just following my existing seam, or yeah, I guess it's the existing seam of the sleeve fitting into the bodice under the arm. Okay, so the bodice is done. It's all enclosed nicely. If it doesn't fit my dress form super great, it's because the dress form is not exactly my size. I think around like this area, I don't know, it could have been a little bit better. I definitely did better on that side than this side because I did that side last. But it's not the worst thing in the world for sure. And overall, I really like the look of this bodice, especially whenever I actually tried it on myself. Not so much on the dress form, it looks a little weird on there. So yeah, next I'm moving on to the skirt, and thankfully that should be the easy part. So yeah. Okay, so I have the dress all done, and I actually ended up going in and undoing the sort of like, I don't know, weird technique I did around the lining, or the neckline with the lining, and I ended up adding a facing anyway. I don't love facings like this because they tend to flip out and they're kind of weird. This one, for some reason, also seems like it's, I don't know, just like a bit, I don't know. This one's particularly annoying, which is why I was trying to avoid it if I could, but I think on the outside it looks a lot better with the facing than it did whenever I was trying to use the lining on parts of the bodice, but not the sleeves. I did stitch it down here, and I stitched it down here, so there's no like top stitching on the outside of the dress, so just to the lining, so that it would stay in place a little bit better. But yeah, that's basically what I did. And then I have the skirt all done. I think I ended up doing something weird with like the facing for that as well, but I think it turned out nicely. Here's the hem. Yeah, everything turned out okay. I think it feels really nice and light. I'm gonna have to insert some pictures of me wearing it, or video footage depending on what I do. The only other thing I would change other than the facing, I would have obviously preferred if I had done the facing to begin with, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe modify the facing slightly because I didn't like the way it was as is. But other than that, the only thing I would change because of the lining is like the waistline. I don't know, let me see if I can show you what I ended up doing. But because there's 2 layers of fabric around the gathered part of the waistline, it's pretty bulky from the outside. I don't know if you can really tell here. It might be more visible whenever I'm wearing it. I did sort of stitch down the lining so that it would hopefully eliminate at least like some of the bulk, but I think it still ended up looking a little bulky. Maybe after I wash it, it will be not quite so much, but I think that's just kind of goes with the territory of that type of lining with a gathered skirt. I think if I were to do a lining with a gathered skirt again, I actually might not use the gathered skirt for the inner layer. I might do like a, I don't know, a tapered skirt or something, like a A-line skirt or a circle skirt or something like that, so that I don't have to worry about that bulk essentially. So yeah. overall, I really like how this turned out. I think it's a cute dress for fall. And I made a matching mask. Let me find it. Yeah, I have this matching mask that I made. And this is the pattern from Japanese sewing books. It's a 3D style mask, so I find these a little bit more comfortable. And the way I like my bands to be is behind my head. And I have this toggle thing with elastic that I bought on Etsy. And I just put that behind my head. See if this looks good. And then I just pull it in. And I'm good to go. I have some masks that I made. One second. I have some masks that I made that have a similar behind the head configuration, but I have to tie them. But because my hair is long, whenever I tie it, it gets my hair caught up in it. And I don't really like that. I might end up making a masks video talking about the different patterns that I've tried, because I've gone through quite a few iterations. And I definitely think I found something that I really like right here, but I also haven't tried every single mask pattern that there is. I'm definitely open to trying like new innovative ones. I've seen some like partial, or like, what was it called, like a hybrid mask where it's like partially like the shaped ones. There's like a special name for it, but I forgot what it was called. And then partially 3D essentially, which seems cool. But yeah, so that was kind of an off-topic tangent, but if you want me to do a full video on masks and everything, let me know, and I will definitely try to get that out there. Yeah, so let me know what you think about the dress. I will hopefully have some cool pictures / videos to insert. See you later. Bye!